Greetings, everyone. So the late Stephen Covey used to say, the way that we see the problem is the problem. And I feel like this is particularly pertinent to our healthcare system and especially how we are handling the COVID crisis. In that we don't want the simple solution. We want the expensive solution. We want the far-reaching solution. We want the overpowering solution. We want the scientifically prestigious solution. We want the solution that we can throw hundreds of billions of dollars at. We want the solution that we can disrupt everybody's lives with. We want the solution that is going to make a lot of money for a very few number of people. The one that's going to make a lot of scientific prestige for a lot of people. That we've lost sight of what our goal is. And our goal is health for everybody. But instead we want to do the complex solution because it sounds sexy. Because somebody got their PhD in something and spent a lot of time doing it and wants something to show for it. Because we don't want the inexpensive solution. We see this now with the drugs that are coming out. And I just made a video about this, how we're cheering on remdesivir at $3,000 a pill because it's the new drug that we had to spend hundreds of millions of dollars or billions of dollars developing. And we don't want hydroxychloroquine because that's been around forever and that couldn't possibly work because it's an old drug and this is a new problem. And there can't be a simple solution. No, there has to be a complex, expensive solution. That's how you make money. And that's how people, accumulate scientific prestige. Because it seems that a lot of people in our government, in our pharmaceutical companies, in our healthcare workers are more worried about scientific prestige and looking good and being the hero than finding a simple solution that works. And we see this, that we slandered hydroxychloroquine. We set it up against placebo equivalents that would make it look like it wasn't effective. We would overdose people on it in the safety studies, then go, oh, it's not safe. And then remdesivir comes out at $3,000 a pill and everyone gets angry because healthcare is so expensive, right? And the same people that were saying, oh, we need a solution to this healthcare problem. Healthcare is too expensive. 6 months ago they were saying this, and then when hydroxychloroquine comes out as an inexpensive solution, they want to demonize it. And then they wonder why healthcare is so expensive. Well, I'll tell you why. It's because we're always going for the complex, expensive, scientifically prestigious solution that has some sort of novel intervention or novel therapy or novel drug that we have to spend billions of dollars developing, rather than take the assets that we already have, rather than look at the problem in a novel way and try to figure out a simple solution. No, we always want to figure out the most complex solution that has us throwing the most money at the problem. And then we wonder why the healthcare system is so expensive. And if we look at this, it goes far beyond just hydroxychloroquine. I'm not even a fan of pharmaceutical drugs. We look at who's dying from the coronavirus, and they all have heart disease and type 2 diabetes. Both of these diseases are completely preventable and reversible with proper plant-based diet. Okay, we can reverse these diseases. They may not even be a problem. So we could have taken the hundreds of millions of dollars, the billions of dollars we spent, developing drugs, developing a vaccine, and just fed everybody healthier by, subsidizing crops, by growing more crops, by, getting better distribution out to people, and greatly improve people's health, vastly reduce their susceptibility to the disease, vastly reduced their chances of dying from the disease. But no, we want to spend billions of dollars on a vaccine that the average vaccine takes 10.7 years to develop, and the average coronavirus dies out in 2 years. And so we are potentially throwing billions, maybe hundreds of billions of dollars at a drug that by the time it makes it to market, the virus that it's purported to prevent against will be long gone. And if we rush it, all kinds of health implications of it being unsafe. But we don't want to look at that. We want to be the hero. We want to come up with the drug that's just going to make everything okay and it's going to make the problem go away. And we don't want to look at the bigger systemic problems that are causing the problem that we have. Now, if you listen to the Zach Bush podcast where he talks about how, Hubei province was going to be a hotspot for a pandemic because of all the pollution, because of all the chemical pesticide use. Can we figure out ways to reduce pollution? Can we figure out ways to stop using so many chemical pesticides in our food supply? No, that's not the sexy solution, because people make a lot of money polluting. People make a lot of money spraying chemical pesticides and doing, conventional farming. So we don't want to look at the real problem. We want to, put this lens on the problem that we can, science our way out of it with more and more complex and expensive interventions that take years to develop. But hey, makes corporations a lot of money, makes people with advanced degrees, look real smart and prestigious. And I know because I played that game for a long time. I went to an Ivy League school. I know that these people are more concerned with prestige and looking good and feeling like they're smart than offering a solution that actually works. Humbling themselves and say, wow, a lot of these things that we're doing with our food supply, with our medical system, are completely broken and need to be torn down. But that would make a lot of people look bad. That would go against the status quo, so we can't bring that up. And if you do, you're like me, you're labeled a quack or a charlatan or whatever. Meanwhile, here I am getting people well from autoimmune disease using purely diet and lifestyle, all right? They get put on all these drugs that only make the problem worse. They never heal from it, and they're told there is no cure. And then they come along to Dr. Ben, and myself and many of my students have completely reversed autoimmune disease using simple tools, diet and lifestyle, no drug interventions. If those worked, they'd work. But they don't, right? And at one point I had to humble myself and say, you know what, these complex, scientifically prestigious solutions are not getting the job done. They're not doing it. And what am I a fan of more? My own ego and coming up with fancy solutions, or actually getting people well? And it's funny, a certain thing happens when your own health gets put on the line. All of a sudden, you really don't care about your ego. You really don't care about what people think of you. You just want to get well. And so I'm here to support those people. But it seems that most of the scientific establishment, and maybe this is due to capitalism, I don't know, but we want to come up with the sexy, expensive solution that sounds fancy and looks fancy, but ultimately doesn't get the job done and just inflates costs anymore. And then we're wondering why our healthcare system's so dysfunctional. So my charge to you is that the way that we're looking at the problem is the problem. And until we change that lens, until we stop trying to come up with the most expensive solution, the most far-reaching solution, the most complex solution, the one that appears to be the most scientifically prestigious solution, and work on finding, looking at the real problems that are going on and the systemic underlying causes of our problems, we're just going to keep spinning our wheels, and we're just going to keep blowing through money, getting angry at each other, fighting with each other, continuing to be sick, continuing to die, continuing to get nowhere on this hamster wheel until we, pull our heads out of the sand and really look at the problems we have and, simple systemic ways to fix them. And I think it begins with our food system. And that's the most important thing. So that's my charge to you. Are you going to continue to cheer on the expensive solutions, the scientifically prestigious solutions that get us nowhere because you want to be part of the pseudo-intellectual majority? Or are you going to look at the underlying systemic problems we have that everyone wants to ignore and be a person who addresses those, like me and many of the people I work with, and actually get some real change? It's up to you. The way that we see the problem is the problem. And the better we look at the problem, the better chance we have of coming up with real solutions. That is my charge to you guys. Be well, take care of yourselves out there, eat your fresh fruits and vegetables, meditate, sleep, get your exercise, get out and play, enjoy life, be creative, do all the things that promote health, be an example to others, and maybe we can start making some changes in this crazy world.